Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're wading through a stack of HVAC repair forums, technical manuals, and some truly panicked homeowner logs. And
Right.
our mission is simple. We want to save you from waking up at 3 a.m. on the coldest night of the year, convinced your house is about to freeze over.
Yeah, it is the classic winter nightmare, right? The wind is howling outside, the temperature drops to single digits, and you wake up just shivering. The house is completely silent. There is no air coming from the vents.
Right, and naturally your brain just goes straight to the worst case scenario. The furnace is dead, the pilot light is out. You start thinking this is going to cost thousands of dollars to fix.
Exactly, but if you look at the data we have here, the culprit often isn't a catastrophic furnace failure at all. It isn't even a power outage. It is usually this tiny, overlooked mechanical failure right inside the thermostat itself.
Which feels kind of counterintuitive. You'd think the big, heavy machinery down in the basement is the thing that breaks, not the little plastic box on your wall. So what is physically happening inside that box?
Well, it comes down to basic material physics. The core issue we see in these manuals is a loose contact. Inside that thermostat cover, you have a wire, which is metal, and it's wrapped around a tightening screw, which,
Or is this also metal?
right, it's metal on metal.
Yeah.
And over years of heating and cooling cycles, or honestly just time, those components can sort of lose their grip on each other.
Now, here's the part that actually confused me when I was reading through the reports. This failure almost always happens on the absolute coldest days of the year. My first thought was, okay, well, the cold air got into the walls and froze the wiring.
Yeah, that is the really common assumption, but it's actually completely incorrect. I mean, remember where thermostats are usually installed.
Right, they're usually right in the middle of the house on an interior wall. So the wire is sitting comfortably in a room that until very recently was 70 degrees. It is not exposed to the freezing wind outside?
Exactly. So the temperature of the wire itself isn't the problem. The problem is what the furnace is doing because of the cold. Since it's freezing outside, your furnace is running a marathon. It's doing nonstop cycles just to keep up.
Oh, so it's a vibration issue?
Effectively, yes. That continuous operation creates this specific environment where subtle vibrations travel through the wall, or there's just general system stress, and that finally provides the nudge. It pushes that already loose metal-on-metal contact just enough to break the circuit.
That is incredibly ironic. The system working overtime to fight the cold outside is actually what triggers the disconnect inside the warm room?
Right. The wire was probably loose for months hanging on by a thread. That marathon run on the coldest night was just the final straw.
Yeah, the sources get pretty specific about which hardware is actually prone to this. They keep flagging older Honeywell styles that feature a window.
Oh, and just to be absolutely clear, for anyone looking at their wall right now, we aren't talking about a literal house window.
Right, not a drafty window letting cold air in.
It's
So we
exactly.
were talking about that specific design style that has a small plastic display window right on the device itself. It usually shows the interior achieved temperature gauge.
It seems like that specific design with the little display gauge is the one most prone to this finicky connection. So let's say the worst has happened. It is 3 a.m. I am freezing, and I strongly suspect this loose screw is the villain here. Do I need to call a pro?
You probably don't. The fix in the manuals is surprisingly low tech. Safety first, obviously you want to turn off the breaker, but then you just pop the front cover off.
Right.
Even if the wires look connected, they might not be making solid contact. You take a flathead screwdriver and literally give those screws a quarter turn.
That is it. Just a quarter turn.
That is usually all it takes to reestablish the circuit. The metal grips the metal again and the furnace kicks right back on.
That is incredibly empowering to know. A cold house doesn't always mean an expensive repair bill. Sometimes you literally just need a screwdriver. But the forums also suggest that if you want to stop worrying about this entirely, you should really look at a hardware upgrade. They do, but maybe not the kind of upgrade you would expect. The suggestion is actually to swap that window model for a simpler one. The basic models without that interior temperature display often have a much more robust, solid contact design.
So we are essentially downgrading the features to upgrade the reliability.
In this context, yeah. You lose the little visual gauge of how warm the room is, but you gain the certainty that the heat will actually turn on when you really need it.
Which brings up a bigger point about how we choose gadgets in general. We tend to gravitate toward the ones with the extra dials and displays just because they look smarter.
We do. We conflate complexity with quality. But this is a perfect example of where a fancy feature like that display window actually introduced a mechanical weakness. It forces us to ask, why do we value complex interfaces when simpler, clunkier designs often offer way better stability when it matters most.
The great question to ponder the next time you were in the hardware aisle. Think about all those smart appliances in your kitchen right now. Are the Wi-Fi-enabled touchscreens really making your fridge better at keeping food cold, or are they just adding another failure point that will cost a fortune to fix? Something to think about. Stay warm, everyone.